Hey there, my name is Pravus, and welcome to Pioneers of Pagonia. This is probably one of the more highly anticipated settlement builders of 2023, and it's understandable why. The game does have a beautiful and unique aesthetic to it, and the gameplay looks solid enough. The question is, will this game live up to the hype? And that's what we're going to try to find out throughout this video. Now, I should note that I'm currently playing on a demo version of the game. Actually, if I'm being technical, I'm playing with an early access version of the demo of the early access, which I know is confusing, but that's kind of what we're left with. The good news is there will be a publicly available demo going live the same day this video goes live. So if you guys like what you see, you can try it for yourself, and there will be a link in the description down below so you can learn more. That does mean that this video is going to come with the usual disclaimers, though, where there is, obviously an early access version of the game, some stuff is subject to change, etc., etc. However, given that this game is going to be launching in the early access in December of this year, I imagine it's getting pretty close. So let's go ahead and get started. There are 3 pre-built maps available for this demo, and I believe that will be the case on launch as well. Procedural generation is something they're going to be adding in according to the roadmap, just not immediately. We'll play with the Rich Forest map here. I know it says it's the easiest. I don't really care about difficulty right now. I just want to get a good feel for the game. Okay, we've arrived at our island. This is our ship with all of our population currently aboard and a bunch of resources to get us started. I have no idea if this is going to be representative of a normal game, where we start off with this many people and this many resources, or if this is just something being turbocharged for the demo. Could very well be. I don't know. We won't know until later. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the map here. So this little plot of land right here is all I have to start with, and you can see actually the borders available to us in the minimap down in the bottom left. These boundary stones represent the borders of our territory, and we will be able to expand these. In fact, that's one of the first things that I probably want to do. So let's go down to our exploration and expansion, and we're going to place down an explorer's hut. So one of these buildings right over here is going to have some explorers working here, and they are going to start exploring the fog of war and revealing more areas of the map. Now, if we want to actually expand the borders themselves, what we need is a guard tower. Guard towers here are going to, 1, employ your guards, who are some very basic military defensive units, but also the guards place down new boundary stones and expand your territory. So let's go ahead and place that down over here. Now we need to connect all this stuff up by a road. We can see the pathing down here. Now, the pathing here is all going to be straight, and you can see that there are 3 different squares coming off of each edge, which represents how much space you'll have to place buildings that are going to be attached to these roads later on. I don't actually love this system, only because I like the more free-flowing curving roads, or the more organic, natural ones you get from a game like, let's say, Foundation, as opposed to these straight ones, which feel very, very limiting. Nonetheless, that is what we have to work with, so we'll go ahead and place something kind of like that, and then maybe I go ahead and place a road that's going to follow along the coast, kind of like this, maybe. And we'll go ahead and connect it up to the ship, kind of like so. Once you've placed all the paths you want, go ahead and click on your destination again. That places everything, and now you hit escape in order to leave that, and that's what you've got to work with. Okay, easy enough. Now, on the top right, you can actually see we have a few different objectives. This is kind of the game's closest version of the tutorial right now, giving you an idea what kind of things you want to be building, though, I mean, you're not necessarily limited to doing that. Still, it's a good primer. So let's go ahead and place down something like, let's say, a wood-cutting hut. We're going to go to our wood and stone over here, and there's a wood-cutting hut. Now, you can notice that it's going to gather several different kinds of wood. We have softwood, hardwood, and firewood. Different kind of buildings are going to require different types of wood in order to construct, and there are going to be a mix of different trees all over the place. You can eventually place down some foresters and control which of the 2 types of wood you want to place. For now, though, we'll go ahead and place a quick little woodcutter's hut, let's say, over here, a little bit out of the way. It should be able to gather up all of these trees in the immediate vicinity, and just like before, we'll go ahead and connect this thing up to some roads, I guess, kind of like this. Now, let's see. In addition to that, I need to get myself a quarry. There are some stones over here, so we'll go ahead and place one of these off in this general direction. I have to rotate my buildings using E and Q. I guess we'll do something kind of like this for now. That's fine. We also want to get ourselves a stone mason, somebody who can take that stone and turn it into something more usable. So we'll place one of these nearby as well. I'm thinking kind of like this, I guess. Now, notice we have a lot of people currently leaving the ship, gathering up resources, and building out all of our structures. There's actually a few different kinds of constructors you need to worry about. You have diggers, who actually spend their time prepping the foundation and flattening out the land where it needs to go. Then you have your actual constructors, and of course, you're going to have your people hauling things around to make sure your resources get to their destination. And the buildings, I will say, look great as they're going up. I mean, it's not quite as realistic as some things, but I think the game does a very good job of making the scaffolding and everything go up look pretty awesome. I'm not going to complain about that. What I am going to complain about immediately, right off the bat, is a lack of speed settings, as far as I can tell. Now, this might be something that's in the later version of the game, and at least for the demo, for performance purposes, so as not to make the game look bad or something, they're holding back on those features. I don't know, maybe. But if this game does not end up having some speed control features where I can zoom forward, I'm going to have a small problem with that, because it does take a while for your people to wander around, and while there's still plenty to do, and we could continue building right now, and it does help we start with so many resources. Nonetheless, I can see at some point we're going to hit a point in the game where we're low on resources, I'm waiting for things to be done, and I won't be able to speed forward, so I'll just have to sit here twiddling my thumbs. I really hope that's not the case when this game goes into early access. Anyway, so the diggers are at work over here. We'll let them do their thing. We can see that the explorer's hut is built, and automatically some people have been assigned over here. They've got some backpacks. They're going to gather up with some rations already stored on the ship, and what we can do is tell them, I want you to focus on exploring in this general area. And they're going to start moving out over here and mapping out the world. These guards, on the other hand, are heading to their guard post, and you can see some haulers are bringing along the boundary stones. Once these guys arrive in this circle here, they're going to start filling in the borders and claiming all of this land. However, we can see we have a little bit of a traffic jam, and this is one thing I'm also going to say feels a little bit weird in the game. Go around them, fools. You don't have to be waiting for them on this path. It's not a single file line, dang it. Anyway, there's the guard, by the way. He's going to grab some of these boundary stones and start placing them. And the boundaries increase just like that. This is a gradual process, but this is how you claim more land. You can see up here in the top, by the way, we only have 2.5% of this island currently claimed. So the maps, presumably, get pretty darn huge, and that's promising. And let's see, we do have people gathering up trees. We also need to process that wood, so let's place down a sawmill, probably right next door if we can. Notice, by the way, as I was saying, this stuff can snap directly to the roads. You also can have a little flexibility. You can see the green arrow. Is it going to be connected or is it not? It's going to be yellow over there. We can do that, but again, this is where the 3 squares off of the road becomes helpful to give you an idea how much space do I have to continue placing down more buildings. Now, of course, we do need to get food for our people. That's going to be important, so let's go to the food products over here. And the game recommends we place down a hunting lodge. I don't think that's a bad idea, considering I do see a fair bit of deer that are wandering around. Probably want to place the hunting lodge more toward the edge of your borders away from your main city centers, just because that's probably where you're going to find the most animals. And in the same way, we can also place down a forger's hut, and the game does give you a preview that, hey, look, there's a whole load of stuff in the forest that you'll be able to gather. And I want all of it, so gimme. Of course, your people are also going to need some place to live. We can go to our population and meals over here and click on the cottage. Eventually, residences are going to be an option, but we don't have this available in the demo right now, so the cottage is going to have to be good enough, costing me a bit of stone and some softwood. So I'll go ahead and place a couple down like this, and just for the sake of aesthetics, I'm going to try to break away from the main road just a little bit. I don't like building everything in grids, alright? I've been spoiled with some other games, and I can't go back, dang it. Notice, by the way, yes, we are exploring a big chunk of the map now. We can see everything that's going on over here. There's another mountain with a bunch more rocks that we'll be able to gather from, so some stone, also iron ore, some coal, I see copper, and I know from experience there's also silver ore over in this direction as well, so a lot of different minerals we'll be able to extract. I say minerals, obviously what I mean is metals, but whatever, I think you all know what I'm talking about. Something we can go ahead and start preemptively placing down is a tavern. This is a place where your people will be able to get some nutritious meals or comfort meals, whether they are miners or residents. It does take a bit of cut stone, which I don't have enough of yet, but that's why we have the stone mason, so we can go ahead and place this thing down. Now, by itself, the tavern is not a sufficient building. What do I mean by that? Well, we're also going to have to place down some tavern tables where people can eat the comfort meals, and those have to be placed separately, also on a road. So I should be able to place a road kind of like this, and then hopefully still have enough room to place all of the tables where I want them to go. Yeah, there we go. 4 of these right over here, close to where the tavern is. I think that'll look nice. Now, one thing I will comment on, look how many people we already have in our colony. I'm not used to this in a settlement builder. Usually you start off with only like 20 people and you have to build your way up from there. Again, I don't know if this is a feature of just the demo or if this is the way that Pioneers of Pagonia is going to work, but we've already got something like 329 population right now. Only 202 of them have homes, so we're going to need to fix that eventually, but yeah, you get some idea. We start with quite a few folks. Now, one thing the game does want me to place down is a forester. I actually do not recommend placing that immediately over here, as tempting as it would be. You see this big circle over here? Your guy's going to go around and start placing down saplings everywhere, and as far as I can tell, you can't overwrite those saplings by placing down additional paths and stuff like that, so they can really hamper your ability to expand. I'm hoping that's something that gets clarified a little bit later on, or of course maybe I'm just messing it up. That's always possible. Nonetheless, though, I recommend placing this further away from your main base, just to make sure you don't accidentally take a lot of land that you were intending for your primary residences, your market, your industry, etc. The borders are expanding out pretty nicely over here. Well done, guards. Something I probably want to do is place another one of these guard towers down over in this direction so we can start expanding here too. Though, first I want to go ahead and clear out the fog of war, and at this point I feel like we've got a pretty good handle on what's going on in this area, so let's go ahead and redirect them over here. Now, weirdly enough, this probably means at some point we need to simply demolish this explorer's hut and rebuild it elsewhere once we reach our full range, which feels a little bit weird to have to keep doing that. I kind of wish that it could have an almost unlimited range, but okay, fine. The guard tower is kind of in the same boat. Once you reach the maximum range over here, you're not going to continue building out any more of your borders, so you have to decide, do I want to leave a guard post over here for defending against any enemies, of which I have not experienced any yet in my own personal playtest, so they might be in the demo, I'm not sure. Or do I want to demolish this and relocate elsewhere to continue expanding? Now, while the tavern is getting built up, something I'll go ahead and preemptively start placing is going to be a market, because we're going to need a place that sells the food we produce in order to send it to the tavern so it can start making the meals we're looking for. So I might as well place it somewhat nearby in a kind of market square. I think I'll place down a market foundation generally over, say, here is fine. And then we're supposed to place down like 6 market stalls. I don't feel like I need that many to start. We'll just go ahead and place down, let's say, 2 or 3. Also, let's start thinking a bit ahead of time on food. I'm going to place down a vegetable farm over in this general vicinity, which of course is where people will be able to start planning how they're going to, plant down some crops and harvest a few cabbages or pumpkins or something similar. Now, once we have this vegetable farm up and running, it's going to start making use of any nearby farmland in order to start growing its crops. This is where you would place down these things over here. Now, it says that this does not require a road connection, so I can place this anywhere and it's going to work. However, there's a problem I have with the way that farming is currently done. You see that little white silhouette over there? That represents where it would connect up to a road. And weirdly, if I want to place, let's say, a farmland right here, I cannot interfere with where the road would be on a farmland that apparently does not require a road. The result being, you can't really have large stretches of farm. You only have lots of tiny little farm plots. Something kind of like this. This does not feel like farming to me. I would rather be able to click and drag a big section of area and have large sprawling farms. That's how farms normally work. This is more like a gardening plot. So I'll be honest, I really do not like the farming system as it's currently implemented, but we will see if that changes, or, again, I will always say it is possible I am misunderstanding how this works. And I don't mean to sound like somebody who's just complaining. I mean, I will say, look at all of this, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Like, the aesthetics of this game is phenomenal, I'll give it that. And so far, at least, the gameplay is intuitive, and starting with a lot of resources and population means I can really get things going pretty quickly, at least for now. So that is something. It's just little things where I really would like to see some improvements before we eventually get the full release. Anyway, let's go ahead and place down a provisioner. This is another important structure where we'll have somebody able to start taking the resources we are gathering from the forest or hunting and turn it into rations we can use to continue our exploration. Definitely exploring a lot more territory. By the way, I do notice that there are some different colored patches of the earth down over here, like down in this area and down over here. I don't know if that means anything. Maybe at some point we'll be able to extract a certain resource, or maybe we're just not allowed to farm in a certain area, or maybe it's just purely for aesthetic purposes. I don't know the answer to that one yet. See what I mean about this farming here? It's just like little plots. This is all I'm able to fit over here. Does this feel like farming, really? No, not terribly. I just don't like it. Still, they work. The crops are now being harvested, so we've got some of our vegetables, and down over here at the market, we can see that some of these market stalls are automatically assigning themselves based on resources available, though you can control it manually if you want to. So we have forest ingredients, we have hunting ingredients, and we have our vegetables. There's also eventually going to be cereals, which we could start doing now if I want to by placing down a crop farm instead of a vegetable farm, and then just placing down more farmland. Oh, here's a good example, by the way, of where I want to test out this whole forester situation. If I wanted to place down, let's say, another woodcutting hut. Okay, I stand corrected. You can place this on top of saplings. However, roads... Okay, saplings you actually can move around, so that's good to know. But you can notice that roads can't go through grown trees. So there's kind of a time limit for when you can start placing more stuff over here without having problems. I do sort of wish it was a little bit easier to dedicate special areas to chop down. So for example, if I want to place a woodcutting hut over here, I can't anymore because these trees have reached enough maturity, I can't do anything. So I can't say, hey, this particular tree, go chop down. There isn't one of those extraction mechanics. The best I can do is go over here to a woodcutting hut and say, hey, I want this to be the focus point. Please go chop down things in this area. Chop down all of them over here, all right? I don't care if they're full grown or not. And they'll do it, so it kind of works. But it would be nice to be able to go a little bit faster and a little bit more precise. Still, it's fine. Let's go ahead and move on into equipment and training, because I'm going to need to start producing some additional tools. We can go to a wooden workshop over here, which uses hardwood boards and ropes, but can't start producing a lot of tools. Now, granted, we did start with enough tools that I have nothing to worry about, at least at this stage of the game, but you can imagine that's not going to last forever. So we'll go ahead and get this a-rolling. And I am going to need to find a way to make rope. I think that's under processing. Yeah, we have a weaving shed, which uses flax, and apparently you can also use silver bars for silver-lined robes. I'm not worried about that. If I can figure out how to actually get some flax, though, we would be able to start making some rope there. And the way you make flax is at a crop farm, so we really do need to get some more of this farmland up and a-running, is what I'm hearing. Yeah, notice I'm having to place down these farms over here. Like, okay, cool, you don't require a road. You might as well place a road, though, because there's no reason not to, because I'm still limited as if I were placing a road. All right, now that we have the wooden workshop, we can start assigning some orders. So let's suppose that I want to have some wooden shields, or spears, or torches, or cogwheels. Cogwheels I could see being useful, because we're going to need that for some more advanced structures. So we'll take our hardwood boards and convert that into wheels. There's also, it looks like wooden rods, hunting bows, and so on. By the way, if you're wondering how you make more boundary stones, you have to do those over here at the stone mason. I didn't mention that. Not only do you take your stone and make cut stones so you can make better structures, but yeah, they also make your border stones. So if you find yourself running out and unable to get additional territory, that probably means you need to be getting more of these stonemasons set up. Now, since we're going to be growing some of our cereals and stuff over here, is there any reason not to go ahead and place down something like a windmill and a bakery? Probably not. I imagine that's just a better version of food generation, so let's do it. At least now that's an option, since we do have those wooden cogwheels. That's a thing. Cement. Now that is something I do not have. Let's go back to wood and stone. We can place down a stone mill, a place where we will be able to start turning stone blocks into gravel and cement. Well, if we're going to do that, maybe we should go ahead and start turning this into a giant mining and processing area, since all the ores and other cool stuff can be found over in this direction. Sounds about right. All right, we need to get ourselves another quarry then. And then maybe a copper hut, so we can start getting some copper out, and some coal, so we can do something over here. I don't know if I'm worried about the iron and the silver quite yet, though. And then there would be smelting works where I can turn things into bars. Again, though, I'm not worried about iron and silver, so this doesn't seem useful yet. The ants go marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. Kind of looks like that, doesn't it? The ants go marching one by one, hurrah. By the way, you guys remember what I was saying earlier about it seeming like the explorer's hut and such had a limiting radius? I may be wrong a bit on that. Oh, okay. Actually, you know what? It's not immediately obvious, but there's a second radius. Way out over here. All right, so an explorer's hut actually can reach a lot further than I thought it could. What about the guard tower? Yeah, same deal. All right, I'm guessing this thick line is probably the actual barrier. So placing down one or two of these actually does get a really long range. Oh, I should have noticed that from the mini-map. Oh, it makes sense now. Okay, never mind. You probably don't have to relocate these things at all. What are some of the other things we could build? A guild hall where we can train additional construction workers and craftspeople by giving them tools. Yeah, that seems like something we probably will want to do eventually, if not immediately. So let's go ahead and place one of these down. I assume that this is going to be basically saying at some point you have, only so many construction site carriers, diggers, and builders and stuff. If you want to have more and place them throughout a larger and larger map, you're probably going to need to train up some additional crews. So that's part of it. Also, if we go under, let's see, is it population tools? No, wood and stone. There we go. There are construction camps, residences of the construction units, and they're going to go there every time there is nothing to build, and I assume this is going to function kind of like just their little makeshift tents. Is that important to this stage of the game? Probably not, but it's something we could work on. There's also supposed to be things like a military academy, which is right over here, pretty large structure like so, and would allow you to train up military units and equip them with armor and weapons. Also, we should be able to craft armor and weapons, as you would expect. Bronze and stuff would probably be what we need at the beginning of the game with the copper we're producing, but eventually iron lances and swords and silver blades and iron staves and stuff. And why do you care about staves? Because magic is a thing. There is also an arcane academy. Alas, even though it shows a preview of this building, it's not available in the demo. Oh, and we got ourselves another random traffic jam over here. Yeah, that's a small issue with the pathing here, isn't it? Yeah. Not that it's insurmountable. I mean, I played enough city builders to understand that a good city design almost always comes down to traffic. It's just not what I expected in this style of a game. And we've definitely hit that slowdown period where I'm now sitting around and having to wait, which is why I really want the speed-up options. For example, I'm having a hard time apparently producing enough softwood beams to accomplish a lot of my structures. I've had to build up a second sawmill. And I'm still sitting around, waiting for who knows how long. Come on, I'd like things to go a little faster, please. Hey, here's one problem I just noticed. Hold on. The stone mill is acting like only limestone is an option in order to make cement. It specifically says I can turn stone and limestone blocks into gravel and cement. Maybe it's stone into gravel and limestone into cement, in which case, good news. I still don't have the resource I need in order to do this. Oh... That sucks. That sucks big time. Where even is limestone? Oh, it's way over here. Oh, no. Blah, blah, blah. I haven't even got my borders that far. And there's a bunch up over here as well. Same issue. Can't even get it. Really? All right. Well, I may not be able to get this stuff this video, because I could see this easily being at least another 30+ minutes of just expanding borders to then get the limestone so I can get the basic things that I need in order to get the windmill and the bakery and blah, blah, blah built up. Well, on the plus side, I mean, when you tell your guard towers you want them to go to a specific area, they don't fool around. They're snaking their way over here bit by bit. There we go. Limestone is on the way. And now we're producing cement. Finally. Oh, finally. Bakery, done. People need to head over here. Currently, there are no staff. I'm hoping they'll figure that out since I'm supposed to have 313 residents currently available to take on some new tasks. But there we go. I've got my glorious-looking windmill grinding my cereals down into flour, and now I can start making some bread, which means we have a top-tier food in our little town. Fantastic. That did take a long time to set up, though. Which again, speed controls, or at the very least, other ways of making things more efficient. So, for example, I'm looking forward to gravel being added into the game, so I can hopefully start upgrading some of these roads and everyone starts walking a lot faster, or maybe they have carts so they can carry things around a bit more. Something like that would not go amiss. There are some other things we can do in the game that I haven't touched. Obviously, we have not messed around with the military at all. I don't really see the point, even if the game says that I should do that. We also could start mining out some of the silver and actually start minting that if I wanted to, start turning it into coins to add to a treasury. Why I would need any valuables and any silver coins, I don't know. At some point, there might be intentions to have some sort of a trade system in the game, or something along those lines, paying some really high-value workers. I don't know yet, but that is something that apparently will be added into the game as well. So basically, this game has a fair bit of a ways to go, and we knew that. This is a demo, it's early access, it's a pre-alpha build, a lot of things are subject to change. Hopefully, the feedback that I'm offering for this game will be taken to heart, or at least someone can point me in the direction if I am misunderstanding how something works, because I do think this game is absolutely gorgeous and has a lot going for it. It really does. However, no one likes sitting around for 45 minutes waiting for something to get built. That is simply not very fun, so things need to be sped up, and then they're just little gripes like the farming and so on, like the speed controls, that just really need to be improved, in my opinion, before this game is going to be top-notch. If they can do that, though, this is going to be one of the most beautiful and interesting settlement builders that has been introduced in a good long while. Thank you all very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative and helpful in some way. Of course, if you guys want to wishlist Pioneers of Pagonia, there will be that link in the description down below, and you can try out the demo for yourself. Otherwise, please be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, hit that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.